Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Still waiting on Paul Dolan to talk some soccer. All of our guests today, including Paul Dolan and Ian McIntyre in our first hour, brought to you by our title sponsor. So happy to have them on board, Able Auctions and ableauctions.ca. We got Dolly? We don't. Okay, so we'll wait on Paul Dolan. Meanwhile, we've talked a lot about what happened last night at the National Hockey League.
Yep.
What a performance again by Connor McDavid. 5-3, the Oilers stay alive again over the Florida Panthers. We mentioned Philip Hronek signing his 8-year extension with the Vancouver Canucks, $7.25 million AAV. Also news of, and Mark Friedman signs an extension with the Canucks as well. But Jacob Markstrom, former Canuck, goes to New Jersey. Rick, this deal has been percolating for a few months.
For quite some time. And so Markstrom to the Devils, Donnie, for their first-round pick in 2025. Not this draft, which is in a couple of weeks, at 2025. And they also get 23-year-old defenseman Kevin Ball. Kevin Ball is on his way to Calgary. Donnie, Markstrom had a no trade, so he controlled a lot of this. Just one more thing. Flames are going to retain 31% of the $6 million, which is $1.8 million.
And this opens the door for, I'd imagine, initially Daniel Vladar, but also Dustin Wolf, who's considered one of the best
up-and-comers.
One of the best up-and-coming goaltenders in pro hockey right now. We got Dolan? Okay, Paul Dolan joins us now. Whitecaps at Portland on Saturday. Whitecaps have won just 2 of 9 MLS matches. Copa America opening up. Euro 24 is going on, and Paul joins us now to talk some soccer. Dolan, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you? Oh, no audio? We're going to correct that at all? Paul, we can't hear you right now. Can you hear me? This is good. This is Broadcasting 101. What do we do?
Live TV.
You went to BCIT? He's got it now. Okay. There he is.
Can I get the pots up?
That's good. Yeah,
turn the pots up.
The pot's up.
Come on, Dolly. You went to BCIT. You got to be better.
Broadcasting Lingo 101.
Come on.
Yeah, I got some horrible technology here. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi, but here we are.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the Whitecaps to start. The Whitecaps in Portland on Saturday. They've lost, or probably they've won only 2 of their last 9 MLS matches. What's going on, Dolly?
Great question. They didn't look too good against New England Revolution in their last game. They lost 3-2, but that scoreline was a little bit flattering. Ryan Gault scored 2 really nice goals to kind of make that respectable. But Vanny was disappointed with how flat they were. And, they'll miss Andres Cubas. He's always a key player for them. And obviously he's away with Paraguay at the Copa America. But you can't have everything circle around one key cog in that wheel. And so I'm concerned a little bit that the depth isn't there. They'll be missing Ali Ahmed as well, who will be away with the national team. But Portland's missing Maxime Crépeau and Kamal Miller from the national team as well, and a Peruvian defender. So, I think it balances out in terms of key players missing. But for the Whitecaps in general, that's a long stretch now where we haven't seen their best performances. Defending-wise, I think it's been okay, decent, although you allow 3 against one of the worst teams in the league in New England. That's not a good sign. But some of that offensive spark that we saw earlier in the season where they were finishing the chances, the few chances that they created, has to be said, they were much more clinical with the chances that they did get at the start of the season. And they're reversing, I think, back to the mean now where neither the chance creation is really there and they're not finishing those chances. So that's obviously Brian White needs to get going as well. He hasn't scored now, I think it's 7 games.
Hey, Paul, are you surprised that the Whitecaps home record, a huge crowd, it's only 500, and yet years past they've been really good at home and had their struggles on the road. But what are your thoughts of their home record so far?
Yeah, and so I'll say, the flip side of that is how good they've been away from home. Is that they were the best team away from home going into that game in New England. Now that they've been pegged back with another loss away from home, that's probably also coming back to the mean. But the question about why they haven't played well at home, it puzzles me because they are getting better support than they've had in years at BC Place, obviously buoyed by the season tickets that have been sold this year around the Inter Miami game and some of the packages that they've put together. And yet right from game 1, that first game against Charlotte, I just felt like they didn't attack the opposition. And more often than not, we've seen the Whitecaps in previous years buoyed by a big crowd, wanting to get themselves into it, attack the opposition and get the crowd behind you. And I feel like maybe their tactics at home have been a little bit too, I don't want to say defensive oriented, but making sure that they get that defensive structure down and looking to counterattack the opposition. And that hasn't really worked. I would like to see them be a bit more aggressive in their home games. Of course, now they go down to Portland on Friday away from home. And maybe you can employ that same tactic down there, is really try to be a bit more aggressive than we've seen in the games that they played at BC Place as well.
Hey, Paul, let's talk about the Canadian national soccer team. They got some big games coming up, obviously a big tournament. But Alphonso Davies, the new captain, your thoughts?
I was just talking to a buddy of mine yesterday about the importance of the captaincy. And truly, whether it's just in soccer versus maybe other sports, it's not a big deal to me whether he's captain or not and who the captain is. Obviously, it's a feather in the cap, but more importantly, what effect does it have on the rest of his team? What effect does it have on him? In some senses, I almost worry that taking on another burden when he's already supposed to be Canada's best player and the weight of the nation is kind of on him to perform, or Canada won't do well. He's a young player still learning about being that kind of guy that so much is relied upon. But he's obviously proven, based on what he's done with the Bayern Munich team and the trophies that he's won there already, and even with the Canadian team, that he can take on that load, I think. So, I think maybe Stefan Eustáquio would have been a better choice if you're looking just for someone that is a bit more experienced and maybe can handle the pressures of dealing with that. But at the same time, I think Jesse Marsch is looking a bit more long-term as well. And he wants everything to coincide with 2026 when Canada hosts World Cup games, and Canada will play in their third World Cup at that time. And Fonzie will start to be coming into his prime. And I say start because, he's still going to be a young player in 2 years' time from now.
All right, Euro going on as well, but let's continue with Copa America. Canada opening tomorrow in Atlanta against Argentina. We understand Messi is going to show up for that one. Paul, what is a good result? What is a good result, a solid result, realistically look like for Canada in that game against the number one ranked country in the world?
I love the dig that you just took there, by the way. Just kind of slid that under the table. But you know what? And I know we're going to get into Euros in just a little bit here, but I think what you're seeing in world football right now is that virtually any country can play with another country. Now, we are talking about the best team in the world, as witnessed by a World Cup trophy that they lifted 2 years ago. But Canada's got a lot of talented players. They showed what they can do in France against one of the favorites at Euros in France, obviously. Against some of the best players as well. It was a very strong lineup that France put out. And they showed for 45 minutes against a very good Dutch team in the Netherlands what they could do. You could switch it around and say, yeah, but they caved in the second 45 and conceded 4 goals. So which team will we see? And with Jesse Marsch just having taken on the team and now trying to mold something together in such a short period of time, that's a big question mark for sure. But I do feel like with the players that Canada has, and with what we've seen them do against tough competition in CONCACAF to win the CONCACAF championship ahead of the last World Cup, is that they won't be overawed by anyone. I really feel that that's the case. And I think these two exhibition friendlies have helped them kind of know that they have a space and they can belong with the best players in the world. Now, can they beat Argentina? I think it's possible. I really do. I think on any given day, as they say, and in a neutral site, which it will be, although there'll be a lot of Argentine fans there, it's not playing at the Monumental in Argentina as we did, I think it was 2007 or 9, when we got beaten 5-0 with Messi there as well. But this is a different team, a different situation, and I think Canada, if not going toe-to-toe, I think they'll have a strong game, and it could be just one goal in it.
Okay, we'll save that clip. Okay, quickly, Dolly, Euro 24. We just did we lose Dolly here? There he is. Okay, man, there's all sorts of technical difficulties here, but we're powering through. Dolly, very quickly. Mbappe, broken nose. What does that do for France's, in your estimation, France's chances at Euro?
I think they were one of the favorites coming in. They didn't look overly dominant. It took an own goal for them to win their first game, and Mbappe, he missed a couple of chances there, but the guy's going to come alive. I don't think the mask will, really hinder him that much. Maybe it makes the aerial challenges one that he wants to avoid a little bit more, but he's a guy that loves to get it on the ground, run at players, get into the space. I don't think that's going to affect him in any way, and I think France is going to come through this without any problem. And by the way, and I know we got to go here, but it's been a fantastic Euro tournament, and this is back-to-back tournaments now, the World Cup and this one, where I think that, the look towards club soccer was where everyone was really, really getting jazzed by it. Oh, world football is really improving here. And the international tournaments were kind of thought of as, these are almost getting in the way of me wanting to follow my club team. I think that's switched a little bit. And I think the reason for that is that, in the World Cup in Qatar, I thought that was going to be a tournament where we wouldn't see really exciting soccer. I thought maybe the temperatures would be too high or whatever. But the fact that they played it in the winter, that they played in air-conditioned stadiums and mid-season, we saw a lot of attacking soccer, a lot of goals being scored. And so I thought for this tournament, in the heat of the summer, at the end of a long season, we wouldn't see the type of attacking soccer that we're seeing. And I'm really pleased to see that the start of the tournament anyway has been very offensive-minded, lots of goals, teams playing with belief and confidence, even the teams like Albania this morning, that know that if they attack with the venom that they have, and they've got really good players, that they can keep themselves in games and possibly win them. So all to say is that it's been a really good start to the tournament, and it's good to see for the international stage, I think.
Outstanding. Dolly, it took a while. We got you on the air, and we thank you for this.
Okay, guys. Anytime.
You bet.